Welcome to Deadwood! Yeah. Welcome to the world famous saloon number 10. Now, this is the only museum in the world with a bar in it. I know. You know that's why I hang out here. I love museums. Geez, tough crowd, huh? Well, anyway, I know why you're all here today. You're watching me play some cards, right? All right, well, I'm going to do that for you. First, I'm going to tell you some stories about myself and how I came to be the man you know me as today. And also how I ended up here in Deadwood. And, well, I can tell you it's going to be pretty tough to concentrate on them stories with these cards and all. I don't like that back here, but I'll do my best. Now, when I do get ready to play cards, I'll ask for 4 volunteers out of y'all. If you want to come up here and play some cards with me, wait till I ask, raise your hand up high and go, pick me! And I might pick you. All right, y'all know who I am? Yep, who? Wild Bill, exactly right. Well, James Butler Hitchcock. Most folks nowadays, they do like to call me Wild Bill. And like I said, I'm going to tell you some stories about myself. May as well start from the beginning. I was born in Troy Grove, Illinois, May 27th of 1837. Quick, how old's that make me? 39, exactly right. Good job. Now, I am going to skip over a little bit because I really don't think you'd probably recognize me until about 1865. The Civil War had just ended, and, well, I did fight during the Civil War. I was a scout, a spy, and a sharpshooter for the Northern Army. But when the war did end, I was just like everybody else. I needed work, so I took off looking for work. I headed west. Well, I didn't get too far west before I stopped in my first town, a place called Springfield, Missouri. Now, Springfield, more of just a stopping point for me, but I did find a card game right away, and, well, if you don't know anything else about me, surely you know that I ain't passing me up a good game of poker. Now, in this game, I played with a fellow by the name of Davis Tutt. And Davis, he was a Southern boy, and of course I fought for the North during the war, so how we got along well enough to sit across the table from each other, I have no idea. Man, that guy really did not like me at all. But we managed, and we did play for a couple days. Unfortunately, I ended up owing him about $35. Now, $35 being quite a sum of money that I didn't have, and Davis really wanted some collateral, well, I didn't know what I was going to do. All I had was an old pocket watch that my daddy had given me, and I wasn't about to give that up. But Davis, he was relentless. He wanted something to ensure him that he was getting his money back. So, reluctantly, I did end up giving him that pocket watch, but I told him, I said, now, Davis, don't be going around telling everybody how you took that from me in a card game, because that ain't how it happened. That watch means a whole lot more to me than $35, and I'm getting it back. Well, the very next day, here's Davis Tutt in the streets of Springfield, swinging that watch around, bragging to everybody, taunting me with it. Oh, I yelled at him across the town square, told him to knock it off, but he didn't want to listen. He yells back at me, I yell back at him. Then what's he do? He pulls out a gun and he takes a shot at me. Landed right at my feet. So if you know anything about the West, you don't take a shot at somebody unless you expect one coming right back at you. And I don't miss. I lined up at Davis 75 yards across that town square with my .36 caliber black powder pistol. Bang! One shot, right through the heart. Well, the authorities there in Springfield were none too happy with me shooting a fella down in their streets. And they arrested me. They told me that I was liable for the death of Davis Tutt. Well, I said, what about self-defense? They shot first. Yeah, all the witnesses on his side said he was just funning around. He really wasn't shooting at me. You know, I'm quite sure he don't think it's too fun anymore. Well, the judge saw it my way. Self-defense. I was acquitted there in Springfield, but I did figure it's about high time I got out of town. Now, as I'm leaving town, I ran into another fellow who just happened to be at that gunfight, and he saw the whole thing. He was a writer by the name of Henry Nickel. Now, Mr. Nickel, he wrote for Harper's Monthly. He wrote a lot of them dime novels out there on the East Coast. Said he wanted to do an interview with me. Said the people out there, they needed a hero with a new frontier, and, well, I guess he was going to make me it. Now, in this interview, I did tell him some stories about myself, and yeah, maybe I did exaggerate just a tad, but not nearly as much as he did. By the time he told that story, he had me killing around 100 people. Can you believe that? It was more like less than a half a dozen at this point, but it did make me famous. I went from being James Butler Hitchcock to being Wild Bill Hitchcock, the Prince of the Pistoliers, the greatest gunfighter the West has ever seen. And while the fame was nice, it kind of put a target on my back. Now every guy that had a gun wanted to be the guy that shot down the greatest gunfighter, and, well, I had to be extra cautious from then on. Still needing to get out of Springfield, and though acquitted, they were not happy about it, and, well, I still needed work, so I took off and I headed west again. I traveled across Kansas doing odd jobs just to survive. I drove a little freight for a while, scouted all over that place, and as I'm out there scouting, I noticed a few things. I noticed a lot of small towns were sprouting up out there. Yeah, it seemed like everybody just kind of headed west on this big land grab, you know? Well, I also noticed a lot of them towns, they didn't have any law in them to speak of. Kind of gave me an idea, maybe I should be a lawman. So that's what I did. And I cleaned up a lot of towns across Kansas, places like Fort Riley, Wichita, Hays City, a couple more, till I ended up in Abilene, Kansas. Now, see, Abilene, it was a rough cattle town. One of the roughest there was. Them cattle drives, they come through there, bring all sorts of outlaws and ruffians with them. They'd shoot up the town, scare the daylights out of the good folks there just trying to make a life for themselves. The people of Abilene, well, they were more than happy when they heard the great Wild Bill Hitchcock had taken the job as our marshal and was going to clean that place up. I got there, I laid down some new ground rules. Do not bring your guns to town. Certainly don't be shooting them off in city limits. But there was this guy. There's always this guy, right? Yeah. Fella by the name of Phil Coe. Phil, he's a Texas cattleman. He bought a bar there in Abilene, and I guess he had a little problem with my authority. See, I was a marshal. I laid down the rules and I enforced them. And Phil, he didn't want to follow the rules. He just wanted to argue with me about them all the time. Day in, day out, every day it was something new with that guy, and, well, I think we all know how them arguments is gonna turn out. They're gonna come to a head someday, and this one was no different. You see, I'm sitting in the saloon early one evening, you know, having a drink, minding my own business, winding down from a long day's work, and I hear this ruckus in the street. People are screaming and hollering. Guns are going off everywhere. I run outside to investigate. And who is it? It's Bill Coe and all his friends shooting up the town, scaring everybody. Much like Davis, I yelled at him to knock it off too, but he didn't want to listen either. Pretty soon we got this big shouting match going on, and well, Phil reaches for his pistol. Big mistake. I'm quicker. I saw him reach for his, reached mine, drew first, bam, shot him dead right there. But, like I said, he had all those friends with him. And they all had guns too. Not by myself. I'm on the defensive. I looked up at them all and I yelled, "Who wants the rest of these?" Nobody said a word. Till I heard somebody yell my name from back in the alley. I turned quick, shot again. Oh, I shot my deputy, my friend. Well, you guys are laughing. Let me try that again. I shot my friend, my deputy. It's a little late for that, but thanks anyway. Jeez. You folks in here got a real sick sense of humor. That was a bad day. Well, I didn't much want to be a lawman anymore after that. So I gave it up, and I moved on. I bounced across Kansas, again doing the things I like to do, try to make myself feel a little better. I mean, sure, I had a drink or several, but I did find good card games about any town I went to. Now, at this point in my life, after I'd shot my deputy there in Abilene, my friends were worried about me. They said I was drinking way too much, spinning out of control, wasting my life away, and well, they all wanted to give me a leg up of sorts. And when I run into Buffalo Bill Cody, I know y'all know who that is. And Buffalo Bill and our other friend Texas Jack, well, they come up to me and say, "Bill, we're taking a Wild West show out to the East Coast, and we would be honored if you would join us." Well, not doing much else at the time and really needing some money, I said, "Why not? Let's take that Wild West show out there and show them Easterners just how wild it really is out here." Truth be told, I didn't care for that. No, some people are showmen and some aren't. Buffalo Bill? Heck yeah, there's a showman for you. Me? No, not so much. You know, I did get into a little bit of trouble out there. See, my friend Buffalo Bill, he didn't think it was right that I was drinking and carrying on during the shows, and, well, he took my liquor away. I'm here to tell you, it made me rather ornery. I shot the lights out of some of the venues we played in, shot a couple of extras with blanks and started their pants on fire because I thought it was funny. Yeah, they didn't. I'd say by the end of it all, my good friend Buffalo Bill regretted every minute of taking me with on that tour. So I saved the trouble of firing me and I quit. The West was calling me again anyhow. I had to get back out here. I ended up over there in Cheyenne, Wyoming territory. Now when I got to Cheyenne, well, I found me a card game right away because that's just what I do. I played for a couple days, was doing pretty good. I look up from the table, and in walks a lady friend, Agnes Lake. Now, see, I've known Agnes for years, and, well, when we got back together, it was like we'd never been apart at all. And, well, I guess I could tell you folks, I'm very fond of Agnes, and, well, after sitting down with her for a while, talking and catching up a bit, I found out she's fond of me too, so I asked her to marry me. You know what she said? Well, did you say no over here? Who said no? But I really really got to tell the story, and she said no. But she said yes. No, we had a nice little wedding there in Cheyenne, then I whisked her away on a honeymoon to Cincinnati. I said the same thing. Well, we did honeymoon in Cincinnati for a short spell, but Agnes, she had worked there. She's run the circus by this time, and well, I had to get back out here, so I left her there and I headed back west. And I figured to myself, Cheyenne seemed like a right fine town. Maybe that's where I'll go start working on a fortune so me and Agnes can retire. Turns out, Cheyenne was not nearly as good to me as I'd initially hoped. I went on this long streak of bad luck, you see. I lost all my money at the card tables. I ended up penniless in the streets of Cheyenne. You know what they did to me? They arrested me! They told me I was a vagrant! They told me to leave Cheyenne right now, or you'll spend the rest of your time here in the jailhouse. Not wanting to spend a whole bunch of time in the Cheyenne jail, I did heed them warnings and I left. As I got to the outskirts of town, I ran into this big wagon train. The biggest one I'd ever seen. I look up front and who's running that thing? None other than my best friend, Colorado Charlie Utter. You guys know Colorado Charlie? Nobody? Some of you? Anybody? One back there, that's it? Come on, you guys, he's famous. Half the building's named after him. I don't know, maybe pick up a book every once in a while. No. Charlie and I, we've been best friends ever since I was the sheriff at Hays City. And when he saw me on the edge of town like that, he got this big grin on his face. He says, "Bill! Get on this wagon train with us. Huge gold strike in the Black Hills of Dakota Territory. I tell you what, you come with us, I got a gold claim up there. You can work the claim, I'll drive freight back and forth, and we'll split the money 50-50. Well, being as how it was for me there in Cheyenne, that was not a hard decision to make. I hopped that wagon train with him. All sorts of fine folks on there, over 200 of them. 70 plus wagons, all filled with goods for this town right here. Now we headed north out of Cheyenne, spent about a week out on the prairie before we pulled up at Fort Laramie. Now, when we got to the fort, they were excited to see us. Well, at least the colonel was anyway. He come right out the wagon train, says, "Fellas, so good to see you guys. You gotta help me out here. Since these women showed up at the camp, I can't get a thing out of my guys. They don't get sleep at night. They're staying up all night drinking and carousing with these women. Get them out of here, please." And we look over, and there's Dirty M and Madam Mustache. You guys know Madam Mustache? Well, the grins on some of your faces say everything. Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything. We'll just know they're mutual friends, I guess. Well, a little tidbit was there, and well, this other scrunchy-looking fella actually turned out not to be a fella at all. I think you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Calamity Jane. Now, I also know you've been starting and spreading some rumors about myself and Calamity maybe somehow being romantically involved. Not true. Come on now. Didn't I just tell y'all I was married? Man, them rumors get back to Agnes, I'm in all sorts of trouble. Besides, you ever seen Calamity? Well, she looks like a man, dressed like one, drinks like one, curses like one, spits like one, smells like one. Yeah, no thanks. I like him a bit more feminine than that. But you know, I probably shouldn't talk bad about Calamity, though, because Well, for whatever problems she may or may not have, well, she's got a heart of gold. Because if you've got a problem and Calamity Jane is anywhere around, she'll help you out. I guarantee it. Just the kind of person she is. And we did get to be friends. They all got on that wagon train with us. Another week and a half later, we pull up on the edge of town out here. We look down over this gulch, and it stinks something fierce. It was dirty and muddy and nasty. One street, Main Street, the horses, the cattle, the oxen, they all got that street to their business. It was mud and muck on the main street about that deep. It never dried. They run their placer mine water down the street. They dumped their chamber pots in the street. It was gross. But the people didn't care. No, they didn't come here for how it smelled or how it looked. You know why they came here, right? Gold, and lots of it. They were flooding in here by the thousands seeking their fortune. That's no different. I mean, I wanted my fortune too. I knew how to work a gold claim out there. I went right out and I started working it. And I worked it hard for about 3 hours. Yep, not real fast. That gold mining was not for me. But Deadwood being what it is, all the people, the gold, the saloons, the gambling halls. Yeah, it didn't take me long to find something else to do in this town. I'm downtown playing cards. Boy, now I got to look at them cards again. I guess story time's over. I need 4 volunteers out of y'all. Just don't everybody jump at once. It's sort of overwhelming. Go on in? Yeah. All right, I got 1. I got 2. I got 3. I need 1 more right back there. Sorry about that. All right, come on up. Let's see. Could be Charlie Rich, could be Captain Massey, could be Carl Manuel. This place is your very young, my bartender. Get back there and get to work here. This place is a mess. Oh, you don't get to sit down. You certainly don't want to sit there, but it's right there. All right. Tell you what, I'm having a talk with these fellas. Let them know what it's like to play cards here in Deadwood. And I'm pretty sure they know. They look pretty seasoned to me. This fella, he's going to tell you all about what's going on in this town right now. All right. First of all,